Hello everyone, it's great to have a real legend here with me, metal legend Dani Filth from Cradle of Filth. How are you, Dani?
Yeah, good. I'm not a morning person, so forgive me if my brain is not engaged for the next half an hour properly, but I'll try my best.
All right, I think you're about to fly to the States for the festival called Sick New World. And with literally sick lineup, to be honest, you know, Cradle of Filth.
Very 90s, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a kind of throwback thing. Cradle of Filth, System of a Down, Korn, Deftones, Villa Valo, Placebo, and a lot more. Are you excited for that, man?
I am. It's my girlfriend's 30th birthday next week, so she's accompanying me because naturally she's a lot younger than me, and most of those bands were her sort of thing. Yeah, she was born in the 90s, so yeah. She's very much looking forward to going now. I said to her, look, don't worry about it. You know, I know we're headlining our stage or whatever, but if you want to go and see anybody else, and you're going to see me a lot, you know, in the next year or so at festivals, so go out and enjoy yourself. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I would have rather it been spread over a few days because there's so many bands. I mean, like on our stage alone, I think there's like 25 bands, from Cold Chamber to Kitty to Body Count to Horror. You know, it's incredible. So yeah, I think it's Las Vegas as well. So I think it's going to be quite a wild weekend, and we're staying back for a day or two as well. So. Good job you got me this week and not next week. I would be half dead then. More half dead than normal.
Yeah, you guys plan to see as a fans some bands on the festival or no time for that?
Oh God, I'm going to make time. Yeah, I already cancelled all my interviews. I was like, it's one day. Give me a break. Yeah, there's lots of people. I want to see my friends in 69 Eyes. I want to see my friends in Body Count. Yeah, other than that, I think I've got a wish list that I've got to adhere to for my girlfriend as well. So I'll be pretty dragged to see a load of bands I really don't like. But yeah, I'd like to see Villa Bala. I think we're going to go and see Sisters of Mercy the next night in LA, in Las Vegas, sorry. Yeah, because generally when you play festivals, all the best bands, it doesn't matter what time of day you play, what stage you play, you're guaranteed the one band you really want to fucking see is right on time that you're either getting ready or you're on stage. And I think that will probably, well, intrinsically linked to every festival we do. So no doubt it will happen this festival as well.
All right. Dani, Cradle of Filth released the live album Trouble and their double recently. And, you know, we're living at the times when even studio albums are really often, artists say that are not profitable for them. You know, singles, world, stuff like that. So releasing a live album these days sounds even more non-profitable for me. And I know there are two new singles, She Is a Fire and Demon Prince Regent, and they're great, to be honest, really atmospheric. But what was your idea behind that album?
Well, originally there was no idea. It was circumstantial and generated by the pandemic, because the pandemic delayed everything for a lot of people, including ourselves. Our previous album, Existence is Futile, was delayed by a whole year. And basically, by the time it came out, I was bored of the songs. I've listened to it so much. But obviously not now. And that also made a delay between leaving our previous record label, Nuclear Blast, and delayed the transition to our new label, which is Napalm Records, and afforded us a year kind of gap. I mean, we were obviously doing stuff during it, but our live engineer suggested, well, I've been recording all these shows of the previous world tour. Why don't you put a live record out? I know normally obviously probably record 2 shows in a row and dictate the set list, but you could come up with a shopping list and, you know, present it to the studio engineer. And that's basically how we did it. It started as a vague idea by someone else, and then suddenly, you know, it germinated and flourished into this abomination that we've just put out. And because of that year gap as well, we also had a slight lineup shift. And so we decided to press reset on the new album. We just wanted to start from scratch with new people, not have any ties to the past. And so we found ourselves with these 2 songs, She Is a Fire and Demon Prince Regent. And we thought, well, you know, it's a double live album. They're not massively long songs. They're not like BAFTA area length or anything like that. And I think they'll suit if we sort of crest each side of the CD with one of the songs. They'll suit as a good gateway, especially if we, you know, utilize videos for them to advertise the live album. Also show a window into what Cradle of Filth are doing now, because obviously the live songs, they're relics of the past. They've been recorded before. But yeah, it was quite an eclectic shopping list, and we narrowed it down and managed to squeeze 16 live songs on there as well. So I think we did a good job of it. Really enjoying the artwork and everything. I'm enjoying everybody's reaction to it. I myself am not a live album fan. Live After Death, when Maiden, was obviously a transitional gateway for me into the world of metal. But my favourite live albums are all bootlegs. They're not official.
Yeah.
I've got a great Bad Religion one. I've got a great Misfits one. Great Deicide one. You know, I've got a handful of really good ones, albeit that I don't really listen to them. I'm more a studio album guy. But that being said, I think a live album does what it needs to do. It does what it says on the tin for our fans. And if anybody else is interested in, like, you know, Cradle, and this is their entry level album that brings them into the fold, then albeit.
All right. Danny, I'm curious, how do you work on music? How does it look when it comes to work on extreme metal songs? What comes first in your case? The lyrics, the melody, the guitar riffs? How does it look in your case?
Well, I don't know how anybody else works, but I always wait until I have songs, and then whether I adjust them or whether the band adjusts them, whatever, until they're up to a place where I think this is workable, then I'll write the lyrics. I don't do it the other way around. I think it's quite selfish to dictate how a song will sound based on lyricism. I'll throw ideas out and say, you know, I've got this great idea for a theme that may colour the writing process. But generally, I get everything to a point where I think, yeah, this is it. This is definitely, I have this idea in my head of how a song's going to be. And when I think I've fulfilled that idea, that's when I start attributing the lyrics to it. But we're based all around the world as a band. We have 2 people in America, 2 people in the Czech Republic. Myself and the bassist Daniel live in Great Britain, albeit that he lives in Scotland and I live in the south of England. So, yeah, we're all scattered across the known universe. So most of our work on the writing front is done remotely, and then we come together either pre-tour or we'll take a week somewhere, as we did quite recently, a few years back in the Czech Republic, to align all our ideas and to polish everything up and get it to the next stage. And yeah, when you get into the studio, we nitpick at things and constantly polishing and adjusting material.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lengthy process.
All right. And how does it look in your case when it comes to lyrics? Because I wonder if you wait for some kind of artistic afflatus, or maybe you just sit at your desk this day or this day for a few hours and you just do your job not as much in artistic, but more in a craftsman way?
I think that, there's never a real rule to it. Sometimes you have great ideas, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you'll hear a song and it'll immediately throw up a whole ideology in your head and paint pictures before you even, put pen to paper, as it were. Other times, I've like plenty of midnight hours just staring at a screen going, God, yes, I think I've got an idea now, So I don't know. It's different from song to song, from album to album.
All right.
It depends. Influence comes from all kinds of things. And inspiration can be found in the time of year, the people you're hanging around with, the movies you see, the restaurants you visit, silly things. Inspiration can pop up from anything.
Yeah, of course.
Sometimes, you go out your way to surround yourself with stuff you think, I'm in a perfect environment now. Why couldn't I not, utilize the spirits? And sometimes, that just doesn't work. And you may be in the dentist and suddenly, oh, Jesus, got some.
All right. There is a Cradle of Filth collaboration with Ed Sheeran coming. And please tell me, when is it planned to be released, and what can we expect about that? And is Ed Sheeran good in metal music?
Well, firstly, it's a strange collaboration. We've been planning for a couple of years now. It only came to fruition at the end of last year because basically that's the only time that our paths could cross. Obviously, I'm a busy person. He's super busy. I love it. In fact, last night I was working on it because yesterday I was in the studio with the producer Scott Atkins, going through the mix. It's a really good song. It demands a fantastic mix. And it's tricky because you're dealing with pop sensibilities in an extreme metal context, which doesn't really give it away. I mean, he plays acoustic on it. He does his Ed Sheeran thing. I do my Dani Filth thing. There's a blast beat. It's a very, very prolific, deep song, in fact. It's for charity, two very, very good charities. He has one, we have another. I can't release any more details than that because once the mix is done, it then goes to the powers that be to find out the best way to deliver it and how to handle everything to bring it kicking and screaming to the public. But it's a great song. It's not one of these comedic metal mashup things. The lyricism is deep and profound, and really proud of it. Actually, it's a very catchy song. Obviously, it's going to split. It's going to be very decisive and divisive with fans. I think our fans are going to love it. There's going to be obviously a lot of apathetic metal fans who are like, "Oh, this fucking shit! Oh my god, what are they doing?" Well, they do that regardless. I don't give a fuck what people say. To be honest, I love the marriage of extremes, the strange juxtaposition of getting literally one of the world's biggest artists involved in something. Yes, he is a metal fan. Otherwise, this would never have come to fruition. Allegedly, in his youth, he was a big fan of Cradle of Filth and Slipknot, and he even told me a story about how he was due to come to our studio as part of his work experience when he was at college. And this was back in the day when we had a local studio where we did all our writing. But then when we were doing an album, we'd go to a residential studio, a place where we could live, to record it. And the owner of said studio kind of lied to everybody and said, he was recording our new album there. And so Ed, being a big fan of the album Nymphetamine at the time, was like, wow, I'm going to go and do my work experience there. I don't know what transpired. All I know is that we didn't record our album there. Ed didn't work at the studio because we weren't there. Instead, his college found him a job at our local borough council, like the town council, pushing a pen.
Yeah.
And because of that, he fucking apparently absolutely hated it and swore blind that I'm never going to have a proper day job. I'm going to go back into music, which is ironic, really, because I think if he'd come to our studio, it was a bit dingy at the time, I think he would have given up music altogether and probably ended up in a day job. So, Ed, if you're listening, I would like 25%, no, let's call it 27% of your royalties from now on.
Okay.
I need more coffee. It's way too early in the morning. My brain's all over the place.
Man, it all sounds great, and I'm really looking forward to it. But speaking of collaborations, there is a few that I'm curious about. Your song with Ville in 2006, The Byronic Man, and these ones with Bring Me the Horizon and Motionless in White, Wonderful Life and Puppets Free for their albums. How do you remember all these three collaborations?
Well, I forgot, saying that, I forgot about Motionless in White one. I also did a cool one quite recently with a band called Twisted. I believe they're part of the whole insane clown posse troupe. So like rappy metal, horror metal, which was really good, actually. I love the marriage of opposites. I mean, yeah, I've done stuff with other bands before of our ilk, of the similar stature and musical quality, but I always prefer the ones that people say, well, that's weird. Why would he do that? I find those are the ones always stick in people's heads more. I remember dragging King Diamond onto one of our songs, and it was a cover of a Devil Woman, which is going to be one of my favourite mashups, or collaborations, just for the complete batshittery of it all.
All right. Would you agree that Motionless in White are some kind of new version of Cradle of Filth? Less heavy maybe, but
I don't know. I always found them, and my other band, Devilman, actually went out on tour with them in Europe.
All right.
Them, Lacuna Coil. So we came quite close, and I actually went on stage and sang the song with them. The song I sang with them was actually very reminiscent of a song of ours called The Principle of Evil Made Flesh. And I think it was the heaviest thing they've probably done, Motionless in White. They actually remind me of a mixture of a lot of bands, like an amalgam of Marilyn Manson and a bit of Cradle of Filth and a bit of this and a bit of that. It's like they're further down the echelons of metal in regards to time. And so it's like pick traits up to add to their own identity. But yeah, I really enjoyed, funny enough, you said I didn't remember that. I obviously do remember that track and thoroughly enjoyed everything about it, to be honest.
All right. Then you created such, I would say, a whole new universe with Cradle of Filth on many ways, I think, musically, in lyrics and outfits, image. And I'm curious, do you feel some kind of responsibility to continue to build this universe for maybe a lot of next years?
Well, I mean, that's the plan. I don't have any plan to retire just yet. I know I'm getting on a bit, but because I'm turning magnificent 50 this year, although I don't feel 50. I might look it. But I'm a Peter Pan at heart. I mean, this is my hallway. My house is just, if you saw it, you'd probably say, grow up. For God's sake, grow up. You're almost 50 years old. What the hell are you still doing? Collecting this shit, watching this shit, playing this shit, etc., etc. No, I mean, the aim is to, continue in this vein. As for being influential, I can't speak about that. I don't know. That's for other people to decide in that respect. But all I can say is thoroughly enjoy what we're doing, and long may it continue.
Great. when I am having interviews with rock bands, I ask them often if it is hard to be a rock band these days. So in your case, is it hard to be an extreme metal band these days, or maybe there were better times for that kind of music?
I don't think there were better times. I think that music itself has been strangulated by our dip into streaming platforms, streaming services, the lack of physical sales, the lack of physical record stores, everything going online, everybody having access to music 24/7, regardless of what it is, kind of losing its mysticism somewhat. Bands are having to, obviously, because our album sales have deteriorated, although the metal genre is very eclectic and unique and loyal. So you do find bands and fans coming together and, fans buying box sets and merchandise and stuff. They're very loyal in that respect. Yes. But bands are having to turn more and more to the live experience and festivals and what have you to make ends meet. Yeah, it's being preyed on. Bands are being preyed on even further by merchandise infringements, like venues charging huge amounts of interest on selling merch.
About that. That's really bad.
The war in Ukraine has obviously pushed fuel prices up, which has pushed everything up across the board, tour buses, wages, hotel costs, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult. I mean, I know a lot of bands, big bands as well, that have just gone, you know what, fuck it up. We're not going to play. We're not going to tour this year. We'll play the festivals, but we just can't afford to. We might as well stay here, write an album, or, I might as well just spend time with my family, etc. So, yeah, it's becoming more and more difficult for bands. And I think you'll be finding that festivals are going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, look at the Sydney World Festival, like I say, the lineup's insane.
Yeah.
I looked at the Grass Pop lineup, which is getting bigger every year. The same for Hellfest. I mean, if you're not playing Hellfest one year, you're definitely playing it the next. And if you're not playing it either year, then you're not a band, because they have everybody. And I think that's the future, really, because people can't afford to keep going out touring. I don't know where this is going to end. I think governments, at some point, should put a cap or, look into something to do with paying bands the right amount of money. For example, a big streaming platform, 24.5 million plays last year, literally got shit money. I mean, like literally not even enough to take my girlfriend out for a meal. So it is rather criminal, I think. There needs to be some kind of new legislation put into place to protect bands. I mean, if it wasn't, the pandemic pretty much killed off a lot of bands, a lot of morale, and the industry, the entertainment industry in general, suffered a massive setback, and I don't think it's fully recovered yet. I mean, it's getting there, but let's see.
Yeah, I really hope it's gonna change. I don't know how, but maybe it will. Yeah,
I mean, it's just mutate and survive. That's what we've been doing. That's what the music industry's been doing pretty much since 2006, 2007, where there was a notable shift from physical copies to digital platforms. We'll see. I'm not bemoaning the fact. I'm not sitting there going, woe is me, Again, it's just mutate and survive. We'll find a way to get through it. We love what we do. We love the whole artistry about it, the cinematic sort of value of being in a band such as Cradle of Filth. And there'll be ways to push through and continue on.
All right. About Cradle of Filth, at my beginnings of listening to Cradle of Filth music, I felt maybe not fear, but a little bit concern, anxiety for a moment. And now I don't. I'm just having fun while listening to your music. But was that some kind of your goal or idea to make, so maybe not always, but sometimes the listener feel this way?
Well, I think so. I think intrinsically it also applies to like horror movies as well. People into horror, or they get into horror, they get into it, especially me as a youth. And I was terrified. I remember when I asked my dad if he could hire me a copy of American Wealth in London. And now I look at it now and I realise what John Landis, the director, was doing. It was a very dark horror comedy, you know? Back then, the comedy element, I didn't see it at all. All I saw was, shit, this is scary. I was terrified. And yeah, I remember it was the day or the night that I was watching it. He went to pick my family up from wherever they were. They were out having a meal, or they were all busy doing something. And then when they came back, they kind of like ghosted the car up the drive and then went around the house clawing on the windows. I literally had a heart attack. But I think it was that set me on my way with my love of all things, you know, supernatural and horror related and metal related, because I think the two go very much hand in hand. That definitely set me off on the path. That original being absolutely terrified and love being terrified. The original Evil Dead as well. I saw it at a party and I think I heard so much about it that it didn't matter what it was going to be like. I was going to be terrified. And I remember having to walk back through a wood, because I used to live out in the countryside, walk back through a wood, having just watched The Evil Dead, about 1 o'clock in the morning, owls hooting, you know, pitch black, literally thinking I was going to be, you know, raped by trees and possessed by demons any minute. It was terrifying, but I kind of loved it. And that was the spark that turned me into the horror you see before you.
Yeah, I think you do that great in a music way. I'm a big football fan, and I'm curious, as you're from England, if you are too, and if you are, which club do you support?
Yeah, I'm a big football fan. My whole family supports Queen's Park Rangers. I was a mascot, so was my brother, for them when we were young. He still has a season ticket because he lives in London, so I try and catch him as much as possible. Obviously, we haven't done very well this season. In fact, we were close to being relegated. My home team, because I live in Ipswich, Ipswich Town.
Yeah.
They're not. That's Ed Sheeran's
team.
He sponsors their kit. He has like his album emblems on their kit, and you know, I think he even flew back from his recent court case in the States just to see Ipswich Town play, which is bemusing. But although I'm not a fan of them, I'm very pleased that they've come up to my division, because it'll be good for my local town, more money, obviously. And it means that I can see my team play them in my hometown, which is great. But yeah, I realise my team haven't done very well this year, but it's not about, you know, it's about loyalty. You have a team from birth. You're not like a fucking Manchester United fan that are just grown on. You know? I'm from India. What's a great team to support? Oh, Man United look good. Okay, I'll support them or Liverpool. You know.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's supporting team is something more than, you know, let's say, yeah, it's just something more. And for the end, let's do this or that quick answers. I got a few for you. First one, Bring Me the Horizon or Motionless in White?
Tricky. I'll go for Bring Me the Horizon.
Right.
Being a British band.
Yeah. Studio life or tour life?
Yeah. That's 50-50. When you're on tour, you want to be in the studio. When you're in the studio, you want to be on tour.
Yeah.
I'll go for tour. It's a bit more adventurous, a bit more outgoing.
All right. Headline shows or festivals?
What was the first one?
Headline shows or festivals?
Ooh. Bearing in mind we're going away for a festival this weekend, I'll err on the side. I'll go with festivals.
Okay. Iron Maiden or Metallica?
Iron Maiden.
Music.
Although it'd have to be old Iron Maiden. I'm not a massive fan of new Iron Maiden.
Okay. Music or books? In your free time, maybe?
Music.
Okay. That's all, Dani. Thank you so much for this conversation.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Apologies if I was a bit slow.
No,
on the uptake.
Always good. You know, have a great shows this summer and great festival in US, Sydney World, and all the best for you. Thank you so much once again.
Yeah. Thanks ever so much. Take care.
Bye.
Cheerio.